My name is Katie Sampson. I live just outside Philadelphia in Ardmore, PA. And I am a trainer and consultant with a company called CHAX. I also do work in accessibility and inclusion for arts and culture and public garden sites on the side. I had a spinal cord injury when I was 20 years old. I was in a sledding accident my sophomore year in college. And it took about 3 to 4 years for me to be comfortable in my own skin. Getting my picture taken in a wheelchair and actually seeing myself reflected back in those images at first, I think was pretty shocking. And then once I went to graduate school at the University of Arizona, I started to meet a lot of people with disabilities, whether they had been born with their disability or acquired it later in life. And I started to really build a community of like minded individuals. I've also just sort of hit a milestone marker this past January, which I've lived, longer as a disabled person than as an able-bodied person, and so uh, that was kind of a tremendous mind shift for me to really ab- absorb this identity as just a full-fledged part of who I am and what makes me who I am. I became really close with the ADA coordinator on my college campus at Middlebury College in Vermont, and I started to learn a lot about what that all entails, especially in the realm of higher education. And then when I went to the University of Arizona, I started to really dive into the Disability Resource Center there and learn a lot about the different career paths that a lot of people have taken, both in the disability rights sphere, but as well as sort of access services in general. And I had a really great opportunity around 2012 when I moved back to the Philadelphia area after spending a lot of time in Arizona to teach disability studies at Westchester University. And so I became an adjunct faculty member there and really dove into learning more about disability rights and advocacy and the history of disability in America. I think lately, because of where we are with the politics right now, that I'm starting to notice and recognize from some of my other disabled friends that the rhetoric is getting a little bit more aggressive, and it's starting to kind of pick up on some tones that the attitudinal boundaries are getting to be a bit more threatening, a bit more discomforting, and it's also making it so any act of being out and about in public where you are letting your disability be apparent as you want it to be is a political act of some sort. And um, that shouldn't be the case. The fact that, you know, I feel this pressure oftentimes that I have to be out and about to just sort of let people know that disabled people are living and working and at times thriving, perhaps, you know, can uh, can have a really tricky balance to navigate because some days you just want to not have to bother with the I don't know, like ableist microaggressions that kind of happen on the day to day. I got really into birding and bird watching like at a young age and started doing it a lot more when I moved to Arizona. And then when COVID hit, it's sort of like we all dove deep into something, like whatever it was. And for me, it was really getting involved in going out and looking for birds and listening for birds. And when things started to open up, I would go for walks that people were like getting masks and going on bird walks, but like none of it was accessible. I didn't think people really understood like what my needs were coming into the space. So I was like, I'm just gonna get some resources from some great organizations and build something here in Philadelphia. And it's been so heartwarming to find other people that really wanted to share in this experience. And what's been like kind of the most unexpected out of it was like that's how that's how I met my boyfriend, and like we fell in love, and I was like, like I made this opportunity happen, and it was like completely accidental. I think the more you can be vulnerable to, you know, feeling alone and recognizing that it, you have the power to shift that dynamic, um, and find that community, can be just such a value add to your life